What's up, guys? And welcome to another Lingucast with a very special announcement, and actually sad announcement. Sophie is gonna go. So there's ciao, amici,
Different kind of ciao.
different kind of ciao. So Sophie has got other plans in life. And she's gonna leave us. Sometimes she might come back as a guest.
You never know.
So we interview her, and we're gonna have more interviews in the future. Just so you guys know, I'm graduating, so the setup is gonna be completely different. The content won't go away. I'll still do my best to find professors, interview them, get the best knowledge out of linguistics and language learning. Crap, what's that? No. So we can provide good content and value for all language geeks out there. And so, yeah. And can you share a little bit what we learned so far by interviewing professors?
Absolutely. Something that has stood out to me in talking to a dozen or so professors in linguistics and language acquisition has just been kind of how broad the field is. Hearing everyone talk about their own kind of specialties and different areas of expertise has been super interesting. And how passionate each one of them gets about their specific like subfield or like niche within linguistics has been really cool. I'm impressed by how, you would expect university professors to have this kind of depth of knowledge, but I'm impressed at like all the questions we had, all the like, can you explain this? Can you tell us how this works? They're so quick to kind of explain and provide examples, and it's just been fascinating to like hear from people who really are experts about all these different linguistic phenomena and things that hopefully you maybe thought about or noticed before, and now you can kind of get some explanations.
Something that I really liked are things that we usually take for granted in language that you find linguists actually looking at on a field that we didn't really go a lot into was corpus linguistics or neurolinguistics, probably because I wasn't able to get the professors who actually do that. So things like that that are much more, like even AI, the way AI clones your voice. There's a lot of linguistics, so there's a lot of phonetics that go into that a lot of consultation, things from processing. What else?
Computational linguistics.
Visual linguistics, I mentioned that, or even social linguistics, that you analyze people's behavior, in social dynamics, the way people change language, and
historical comparative.
Historical comparative. We haven't gotten to historical comparative linguistics, so there's so much more. And in the future, hopefully we will explore all of those subfields and explain how Latin is able to evolve to Portuguese and Spanish and French, or how we even though someone from Iceland can understand Old Norse pretty well, someone from England or America can't understand Old English at all. So we're good. There's a lot of stuff to talk about, and one thing that I found fascinating in our interviews is how each professor has a personality. So, one of the biggest things, one of the hardest things in interviewing them is getting to know them first. So before an interview, I sit with them, so I have an idea of how they are if I don't know them, and I kind of try to get the interview with to match their personalities. So some of them are more quiet, some of them are more talkative, some of them are very talkative, and so that makes the content even more, I'll say, it gives more flavor to the field, to what people enjoy. So it's not just a bunch of boring professors. They're all diverse. They're all different. They all have different opinions.
Yeah.
And so the sheer diversity this field has is fascinating. That's why I love it.
Absolutely. I would also say it's been interesting to hear how everyone has gotten into linguistics and some pretty different stories. There's some kind of commonalities among them, but a lot of people took different paths to get here. Some had never heard of linguistics until they got to college and somehow stumbled upon it. some had always been interested in languages and then found linguistics. Just hearing how, and some people in their
Linguistics found them.
yes, true. Some people didn't even in their undergrad didn't even do linguistics. It wasn't until their master's or PhD that they kind of got into it. So I've also really enjoyed hearing about how people have developed kind of their passion for languages and linguistics and different language learning experiences. Some people started when they were younger. Some people didn't start till they were older or till they started doing linguistics. So
other people have only learned the language in their missions.
Mm-hmm.
One of the biggest things is that I wanted to focus on is always the first question: what is linguistics?
Yeah.
Right? Because the first question that the linguists usually get asked is, how many languages do you know? And as you can see, you can get from only one or two. I think most linguists that we interviewed were at least bilingual, right?
I think so. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, from two all the way to 5 or more. Or if you're Chris Rogers, all of them.
Yes.
So you have a whole whole spectrum of knowledge and things that you can do with linguistics, and this is one of the things that fascinated me the most. So you have any more insights of what you learned and what you enjoyed?
I think we didn't do this for every interview, but we started asking people what's one thing you want people to know about linguistics?
Yes.
And several people just said it's awesome. I love it, or you should love it. And I think that's cool too, that everyone, not only were they kind of passionate and really knowledgeable about my one thing, sociolinguistics or phonetics or whatever it might be, but they were also just generally and they liked that we were doing this podcast. They were this is great. It's awesome that people will be learning about this more. So there's a lot of people out there who care a lot about languages and language learning. And it's cool that they were willing to share their knowledge with us and we share it with you.
Yes. And there's also the aspect that one thing that I really like is that we learned, especially with on the interview with Dr. Cox, that changed my perspective completely, is what does it mean to know a language, how good you get, how proficient you are, because normally we get stuck in these A1, B2, C1, advanced high, but when in fact it's all about what you can do with the language that matters. Mm-hmm. If you can do that, great. If you can't, well, get better, or you don't need it.
Sure.
Because he even said himself that native English speakers, a good portion of them are unable to get to the superior level.
Yes.
And then he's talking about college students. And if you go less, it's to a chunk of the population that's not, I would say, that doesn't get exposed to a lot of technical terms, their vocabulary can be much lower, and thus on the advanced or even advanced mid-terms, similar to a second language learner. And I even saw that in with one of my partners at BYU as speeches when I used to translate to Portuguese. His Portuguese was way better than mine in terms of grammar, and he would even correct my Portuguese, and he's like, "This is wrong. You shouldn't say that." I was like, how? And sometimes I was like, "How dare you? How dare you?"
I'm Brazilian, man.
It's like, and then I remember that, oh yeah, Brazilians make mistakes in Portuguese. They don't even know. But however, Brazilians have the cultural baggage of being a native speaker, because native speaker goes beyond just knowing the accent. Just you can trick someone into saying you're a native speaker. But what I found out is that native speaker has a whole cultural baggage that when you zoom in, it actually becomes sort of irrelevant in a way, because you can be a native speaker in America and also be a native speaker in Ireland.
Right.
Completely different lexicon, cultural expressions, things that that people do use. And then it comes to the whole rhetorical question: what does it mean to be a native speaker? Do Chicanos who grew up in California only speaking English, do they count as native speakers or not, even though they have a slight an accent of Spanish influence? or do we forget that American English, a lot of it has to do with Irish or in other dialects around England. Does that make them less native? And we don't think of that.
It's super complex.
And when you get into linguistics, you're like, well, there's this whole thing. Like, how far does it get? And then, especially in the thing that's fascinating is just, how does a Creole become a language?
Yeah, that was cool. We talked about that a little bit.
Yeah, we talked about how do you get one experiment I want to do maybe in the future is like get like 5 people, put them that don't know each other's language, put them in an island. Like, let's see what they can come up. Fascinating, but it's probably not likely. Probably that's how language came to be.
Right.
Yeah,
just throw people together and see how they communicate.
But it communicate, yes. So see how they call things, and then you end up picking up. But kind of like how even French have a secret language where they call things.
Yeah.
It's
like encoded. They have their own system.
We talked about Dr. Smimo in the first language acquisition, and then one thing that got fascinating is like how babies learn language.
Right. It's incredible. It's like, how is this even possible?
Yes. There was an instance that's kind of funny. My sister, the word she uses for hairband is fufua. Why is that? It's because when she was a toddler, she used to call it fufua. My mom liked the term so much that my mom started calling it that as well.
Wow.
So to this day, my sister, I was with her the other day, is like, hey, have you seen my fufua? I'm like, you're using this term to this day. Fascinating. It's like, it is not real word, right? It's like, it's not. It's like, no, you invented this word. Mom liked it, and now you use it.
Oh, interesting.
Use it.
Like your mom reinforced it.
She reinforced it, and now she calls the hair hairbands fufua.
Wow, that's funny.
Or my dad basically invented a term called perudo. Nobody knows this term except him, which basically means someone who is incompetent and someone who messes up everything.
The creativity that we can display with languages.
Yeah, so in like from this lexicon that can develop from one family can spread out to a group or friends and eventually become part of the language.
You never know.
You never know. No, and there are things there are things in corpora that really like to take a look at. That people can look at instances when it became a thing, when it stopped going out of fashion.
Right.
All that's part of language. It's fascinating.
Totally. It's been super fun to talk to people and to learn more. And we talk a lot about, like, as you learn more about linguistics, some biases or prejudices you might have kind of fade away. And I continue to see that. The more I learn about linguistics, I continue to see it.
Yeah. Yeah. The whole prejudice thing, you just learn that people have different features, different accents. And then that's it. That's all about linguistics. So, again, it was so great having you.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks, everyone, for watching.
Thanks, everyone.
Keep watching. I'm going to keep watching.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Make sure you give a like, subscribe, and comment. And goodbye.